It's the summertime and the heat has gotten to everyone recently. People are now lining up with their families at the local ice cream shop, attempting to buy their favorite ice cream served in their favorite way. As I am left wanting, I wonder, wow, this heat has to absolutely be driving their sales up. So, let's consider one store. Let's call it Ice Cream King. At Ice Cream King, they note how many gallons of each flavor they sell every day for inventory. For a little over a month, Generic City has been struggling with a heat wave. Now, can we use the observational data collected to figure out if the heat wave has caused a rise in the gallons of ice cream sold over a period of 32 days? To answer that question, we need to know a fundamental thought in statistics, that correlation does not imply causation. This meaning that regardless of any observed association or correlation of two variables, we cannot deduce a legitimate cause and effect relationship between them. The easiest way to determine if two variables have a relationship is through their scatter plot. With a predictor value on the x-axis and the response on the y, we can interpret the scatter plot, maybe even with the help of a trend line. Further, correlation solely pertains to the strength and direction of the relationship, causal or not, between two variables, while causation is adequately summarized as the if-then or cause and effect relationship between two things. With that said, I'll reword my claim. Wow, there has to be a relationship between this heat and ice cream sales. We can figure this out using the TI-84 and through Excel. Using the TI-84 and the 2var stats calculations along with the following formulae, I was able to find the sum of squares. With these values, I was also able to find out the correlation coefficient. I want to test to see if there is a statistically significant relationship between the average daily temperature of Generic City and the total gallons of ice cream sold. When I test for this, I am testing if the Greek letter rho is or isn't equal to 0. I will be using an alpha level of 0.05. Therefore, my null hypothesis is that rho equals 0, and on the other hand, my alternative hypothesis is that rho does not equal 0. If we were to reject our null hypothesis at the end, the relationship between the average daily temperature and gallons of ice cream sold is statistically significant. I found the test statistic and the p-value using the linear regression t-test function on our TI-84. The values on Excel from the descriptive statistics, the correlation function, and the coefficient of determination also coincide with these calculations from the TI-84. Consider the equation of a line that we learned in algebra, y equals mx plus b. Our regression line then is as follows. Our correlation of 0.9572 shows fairly high positive correlation. And lastly, our coefficient of determination, or r-squared, allows us to say that 91.62% of the variation in the y variable, the total gallons of ice cream sold, is due to x, the average daily temperature. Now we can see that due to our small p-value in comparison to the level of significance of 0.05, we can reject our null hypothesis, and can conclude that there is enough evidence to support that there is a statistically significant positive linear relationship between the average daily temperature and the total number of gallons of ice cream sold. There are limitations and further considerations to this study. This study relied on hypothetical data rather than actual theoretical values. The study therefore should not be used to conclude that there is a true statistically significant linear relationship between average daily temperature and ice cream sales. If this study were to be replicated, it should be done with a real city and with real metrics on real ice cream sales. A larger sample by either taking multiple locations or varying stores, or by using a larger set of data over time, would provide more context to the question of whether changes in temperature have a relationship with ice cream sales. The number of gallons sold in Generic City do not consider whether sales were occurring. Was the heightened purchasing due to heat or marketing? Using the daily average temperature may have also had an effect, as raging hot temperatures for a couple of hours may have had a different result than a consistent warm temperature. A similar consideration for future research is to clarify whether the claim pertains to specifically ice cream sold at proprietors whose sole operation relies on dairy products like ice cream, or to ice cream sales everywhere. The existence of correlation may be enough to say that these two variables have a linear relationship between them, but will never be enough to prove that one causes the other. You never know, maybe the heat is dependent on how many of y'all go get some ice cream this week.